Jon. It's Anna Wolfe with Hospitality Technology. It's great to connect with you again.
Oh, my pleasure. Nice to talk again as well. It's been, I'm guessing, what, 6, 8 months maybe, close to a year since we spoke last, I think.
It was last October. So it's crazy. You and your team have been very busy since we spoke. Opening the first location, selling franchises. The first article that I ran and podcast definitely piqued the interest of our readers for many reasons, especially for the many ways the concept you designed to embrace technology, not just consumer-facing technology, but through the whole operation. And just a reminder to our listeners, your list of tech partners reads like the who's who of restaurant technology. Cuisine Solutions, Middleby, Crown, Cotter Hoffman, Perfect Company, Shift4, to name a few. Give us a recap and touch on one of the timely topics right now, labor. The hospitality industry has been struggling for years to hire and to retain employees. And then on top of that, of course, are labor costs. Can you tell us how your concept is different?
Well, I think a couple of things. One, I called my vet this morning because my dog was sick.
Oh, no.
And my vet was unable to see my dog because he doesn't have any employees. I have other friends that are in distribution businesses that don't have employees. So, we seem to think that this problem is isolated somewhat in the restaurant industry, but it's really not. Mm-hmm. It's running across all industries. Mm-hmm. As we speak this very week, another stimulus check went out by the federal government. And as long as those stimulus checks go out, our employees don't come back. Unfortunately, we are at the mercy of how the government chooses to act, whether it incentivizes people to stay home or causes them to come back to work. I believe when these stimulus programs end, employees will start coming back to work to some degree. Mm-hmm. But we as an industry are facing a serious problem. Mm-hmm. I remember 3 years ago, and I think you and I spoke about this last time, Anna, when back during the Trump presidency, when unemployment was so low we couldn't get employees back then. Right. And I remember 8-10 years ago working with the NRA because we couldn't get employees back then. So we as an industry have had this issue again and again and again with regard to available labor pools. Now, not to this degree, certainly, Anna, but finding labor has not been an easy issue for our industry for a very, very long time. Right. My first comment would be employees don't leave a great job for $2 more an hour. They just don't do that. Mm-hmm. They don't leave a great boss for $2 more an hour, and they don't leave a great team for $2 more an hour. Mm-hmm. We as an industry have to reignite ourselves, and we need to reignite ourselves through and with our employees. This is a massive change to the way we've done business before, meaning if I hire the right people, create a really positive, high-energy, fun, really focus on creating a culture and an environment in a workplace that people truly enjoy being at, then I'm igniting my team, and by doing so, I'm igniting my customers. Obviously, one affects the other quite hugely. So rather than working on promoting the restaurant and connecting with customers, I think we need to work on promoting employees and working with our employees and marketing to our customers through them. I think that's a big shift in the industry. So I wanted to say that regardless of technology, any restaurant to retain good staff today is going to have to look at the way they hire and look at the environments that they create more than ever before. That said, when we eliminate people, we have to either eliminate tables or we have to eliminate food products. We can't eliminate people without eliminating one of those two things. Mm-hmm. So the solution to that is obviously technology. Now, there are robots today that'll bring the food to the table. I'm sure you've seen them, that rolling robot that delivers. I'm not suggesting that we go to that degree. But the solution to our labor problem is, in fact, technology. Mm-hmm. And when I look at the future of restaurants, I don't believe it's chefs. I don't believe it's cooks. I believe it's technology, and I think we've proven it with Taffer's Tavern. We run Taffer's Tavern on a Saturday night with a 230-seat restaurant, doing about 3.5 turns. We're very, very busy, and we run it with 2 to 2.5 people in the whole kitchen.
Wow.
And when you walk into that kitchen, it's quiet. It's calm. There's no chaos. Our longest ticket time is 6 minutes. It's the most relaxing kitchen I've ever been in, even during prime time. Now, when you think about the impact upon that on employee attitudes, it's not a pressure cooker. They're not freaked out. They're not running 25-minute ticket times and under the gun. That doesn't happen for us because we've put technology in front. The other issue is, we run 6-minute ticket times, 4 to 6-minute ticket times. So when we're using technology to that degree, double our ticket times and run 12 minutes, we're still tracking at industry standards. So even when we're running at twice normal ticket times, we're still tracking at 12 minutes, right? Which is above many, many other restaurants. So technology has provided solutions to me in 3 different ways, and they're each a little different, Anna. 1, it's reduced my need for employees. But 2, and this is a big 2, it's cut my training requirements by 70%.
Wow.
I don't have to train people in the handling of raw product, the butchering. I don't have color-coded cutting boards and serviceware and separate prep areas. And we have used technology to simplify the cooking process and put the burden upon computers and technology to complicate the process, not the human. And we have 70% less training burden. Think about what that means. My employees become productive quicker. Right? Training is never fun for any of the employees. They get to get out of training and get to work faster.
Right.
And then the third element is I have consistency that is remarkable. Remarkable. When you look at those 3 things, so technology isn't just about one. When you get the technology to save the labor, you wind up with the consistency. It's a byproduct of it. I think that there's no way that the kitchen of the future isn't loaded with robotic and computerized cooking systems, and that food preparation doesn't become more automated every single day. And I think that the future of the industry, and dare I say, Anna, I think we did it, and I think we were probably one of the first persons to do it, was to take one of the greatest food technology companies, Cuisine Solutions, pair them up with one of the greatest food preparation technology companies, Middleby, and then bring all of us into the test kitchen at the same time for 2 years to perfect this. I don't think that's ever been done before.
I think that's why the first article that we did together, Jon, it just really resonated with our readers and has consistently been among the top read or listened to podcasts on our website since we've done it. It's really struck a chord for many reasons, tapping the power of the sous vide cuisine and the technology to cook it consistently, and being able to save on labor and use your employees in a way that enhances the customer experience so they can focus on delivering great service. I think all things that resonate with restaurant operators today.
I would also add another interesting point, Anna, that we haven't really talked about, and that's the cost of money today. Money is really cheap, and there are good leasing programs and such out there. My point is, if you take a look at the cost per employee per day and the cost of buying and leasing equipment per day, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. The cost of money is so cheap. You can get very attractive finance packages now. So I suggest that people that look at this technology and say, you know what, I'm just not going to think about it. I'm going to price it. I'm going to go out and see what I need and what it's actually going to cost. I think if they went through that exercise, they would find that there's financing packages and stuff that make it cash flow positive almost day one. It's not like I have to make the investment, and reap the benefits 3 years later. It's immediate.
Right. Yeah, that's hard to resist if you can get that, do the legwork and just get that project started. Let me ask you, what has been the response from consumers? We had talked about the consumer experience and transparency last time, and you had mentioned the plan was to put in cameras into the kitchen, giving customers the ability to watch their food being prepared. And I was curious what the reaction has been to that level of transparency that you're offering there at Taffer's Tavern.
We're finding that customers actually didn't look very often. I think that we're in a point, Anna, where once we build trust with our customer, they're not looking in the crevices anymore. I think that they've been so well informed by publications like yourself, my television show, and the pandemic as a whole. The consumer is so sanitation savvy, if you will, today, that they walk in, they make an assessment, And I think that they're very comfortable with me and my brand. I found that with that transparency in front of the house, of course, was it is what it is. But I found that customers really just trusted what we were doing,
Mhm.
and that them watching wasn't as important to them as I actually thought it would be,
Mhm.
which speaks a lot to a brand and
Yes.
brand credibility. And
Yes.
people know I'm a nutcase about this, so I think they pretty much expect Taffer's Kitchen to be pretty clean. But you know,
They would be
you
really
know,
disappointed if it wasn't.
yeah, but I'm not sure if we mentioned this last time we spoke, but before the pandemic, there was no restaurant company whose reputation was cleanliness.
Right.
It was never part of the brand equation prior to this.
Hmm.
And there are companies like In and Out and certain companies that are almost sterile in the way that they operate.
Hmm.
And you saw it when you went in there. But there was no restaurant company that invested resources into branding themselves as clean until today.
Hmm. That's awesome. Well, it's definitely the right concept at the right time. You had mentioned that the customers are not looking at the cameras as often as one might have thought. Are there any lessons learned or tweaks that you'll be adding to forthcoming locations?
Well, we focused on clean air, clean hands, right, clean surfaces.
Hmm.
We've put all the processes in place that candidly should exist pre-pandemic. Certainly our hands should be clean, our air should be clean, and our
Hmm.
surfaces should have been clean long before COVID. But,
Hmm.
we've doubled down on those elements. We've upgraded chemicals, of course, because, biological and viral chemicals are different
Hmm.
used to clean and kill those things. And I think that we've really nailed it. We're doing menu modifications now.
Hmm.
As we would be with the new concepts. So we're adding a couple of new menu items that we're excited about. But there's another interesting point to this, and that's supply side.
Hmm.
We're really challenged now, as you know, in getting consistent products and price costing and everything.
Hmm.
We're finding through working through a supplier like Cuisine Solutions, we've been able to offset the price increase for about 60 days longer than everyone else.
Hmm.
It's a really big deal. But two, our products stay fresh on the shelf 3 times longer than non-sous vide products.
Hmm.
So it allows us, when a product is available, to buy a little more of it and not worry about getting it every 2 days.
Hmm.
It's really taken some of the supply side pressure off us as well. So I'm proud to say at Taffer's Tavern, we haven't had to do any substitutions. Our products have been going pretty well. We've had real consistency in product coming in, which allows us to provide that consistency in product going out.
Hmm. Awesome. In regards to the menu, are you using any technology or tools to help communicate out of stocks to consumers, or is that just built
Well,
into your POS?
I'm of the belief that I don't like out of stock. I don't like those words. I don't like unavailable. So
Hmm.
I'm of the belief that we modify the menu every day if we have to. I'd
Hmm.
rather the item disappear than be listed as out of stock.
Hmm.
We're very communicative with our menus, and people understand it's floating menu. It changes a little bit because of the supply side problems that were happening, but we won't compromise on quality. If we can't get the right chicken breast, then we're not selling any chicken breast. So we pull it off the menu completely.
Hmm. Awesome. Awesome. I believe if I remember correctly, you had mentioned that there was a possibility of a delivery only kitchen being in the DC location. Do you
Yes,
have a rough
yes.
time frame for that to open?
Yeah, we're looking at. I cross my fingers when I say this to you, Ada. We're looking at November 1.
Oh, wow.
Realistic, yeah, around November 1 to 15, but yeah, early November,
Hmm.
and that's moving along very, very nicely. That's a beautiful restaurant. We're very, very excited about that. But I want to just share something with you, which is something that we as the on-premise industry need to think about.
Hmm.
Right now, as you and I are talking, there are people sitting in Silicon Valley, California, who are working diligently 24/7 to try to figure out how to erode our business and make it their own. The
How
retail
so do you
business.
mean?
Well, in the retail business, companies like Amazon have spent billions of dollars to erode on-premise business and create online business, right? I'm not
Hmm.
saying to the devil, they're doing their business model.
Hmm.
DoorDash doesn't want you to go out to the restaurant for dinner. They want you to go to DoorDash. Problem is, when the customers go to DoorDash, the restaurant makes 25% less profits, right?
Hmm.
Less money because of the fees to DoorDash. So my point is, technology, by their very purpose, is trying to empty our restaurants. They are trying to empty our restaurants into delivery. They're trying to have people like Gold Bellies deliver prepared meals. But That's what they do. Their job is to create click-throughs, not retail visits.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to understand that as an industry, that as we sit here functioning day to day, there is a group of people that are looking to destroy our businesses. They're looking to empty us
Mm-hmm.
and capture all of that business themselves.
Mm-hmm.
We as an industry don't talk about that enough.
Right.
Now, how do we combat that as an industry? We better darn well make our interior environments worth coming to. Days of sterile environments means I'd rather click through. Waiting for service an hour to be served, I'd rather click through than come to.
Mm-hmm.
How do we fight the click? That's my new phrase, by the way. How do we fight the click as an industry?
Uh-huh.
How do I make people understand, don't go to DoorDash, come to my restaurant, have a great dinner. You're going to really be glad when you did, and make that 25% back that DoorDash is trying to take away from me. We need to understand the competitive world that we're in today, and that's really what I just proposed is really heavy. They're going to erode us more and more every day.
Mm-hmm. What is your take? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Environment becomes more important than ever before.
Absolutely. What is your take on in-house native delivery and offering that at restaurants, delivering themselves like pizzerias do? We've seen a lot of move to that. We've seen moves to that in our restaurant technology network. A lot of
I also have
discussions.
some friends that 2 or 3 restaurants get together and split a driver.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's worked well. For 2 restaurants, it tends to work pretty darn well, particularly if they're next door to each other. But there's a lot of creative ways to do it. And when you consider that the DoorDashes of the world are taking so much money off the top, my belief is that third-party delivery services are not sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
It's not worth it to us if they're taking 25% off the top. It's just not. So either we have to raise our prices to reflect the different menu to recover some of that 25%, if not all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Or how do we commit to the delivery business knowing that it doesn't make us money?
Mm-hmm. Right.
It really is a dilemma. And the solution is either we have to renegotiate how we do business with the DoorDashes of the world, because 20, 35%, that just is not sustainable for us.
Mm-hmm.
Or we need to do what you suggest, look at other models. And I'm guessing other models are going to start coming up. I understand that there's somebody who's starting a delivery service that they just charge the operator $2.50 per delivery.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're going to start to see some competitive models emerge.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be far more appealing than a DoorDash model.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm just saying DoorDash individually, but I'm making it more of a generic statement.
Right. Third-party delivery services in general.
We use Postmate drivers.
Mm-hmm.
We use Postmate drivers for Tapper's Tavern, and we pay them a flat delivery fee.
Mm-hmm. And
it's a lot less than 25%.
Right. Yeah, and we've seen that with restaurant brands of all sizes trying to negotiate and have like what they call the white label delivery, whether it's through DoorDash or Postmates or Uber Eats. Yeah. So that's cool. You mentioned Silicon Valley, and I wanted to ask you about online review of restaurants. You've been pretty outspoken recently about your opinions of Yelp. And, is there a tool your team uses to monitor and manage your reviews? And do you have any advice for restaurants on how to handle reviews on social media, the good, the bad, the ugly?
Well, I believe you should respond to every review, either a thank you for coming and a positive review. Mm-hmm. Certainly responding to a negative review and inviting people back can be a very powerful marketing angle. Mm-hmm. The other thing that I believe we need to do as an industry is move people to Google reviews away from Yelp reviews. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I say that is if you look at Google reviews and Yelp reviews side by side, Google reviews are always higher, always higher. And Yelp benefits by lower scores. They do. Mm-hmm. And their business model has an aggregate software program that I'm not saying they move one score down more than another. I think they're fair in the way they do it. Whether you pay them or not, your score is going to be lower than it will be on other sites. And if everybody on Yelp had a 5 score, the company wouldn't make money. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't have to advertise on Yelp. They wouldn't have to pay for better positioning and posting. Mm-hmm. So I have a lot of negative feelings about Yelp. I know a friend who owned a deli in New York. Mm-hmm. And, they were paying to have a picture on their page. And the minute, the pandemic hit and they couldn't pay, the ugliest picture of their restaurant imaginable was replaced on their page. Mm-hmm. So if you have a good picture on a page in the first place, how does Yelp get you to buy a better picture? So they benefit by putting a lousy picture up. If they put great pictures up, nobody would upgrade.
Mhm.
So Yelp diminishes us as part of their business model. They diminish the way we look so we pay to make ourselves look better.
Mhm.
They diminish the way we're received in scores so that we pay to make ourselves look better.
Mhm.
And Yelp benefits when we pay to make ourselves look better.
Mhm.
So by making us look worse, they create a marketplace for themselves.
Mhm. Yep.
That's not a friend to the industry, in my view.
Mm-mm. No. No.
That's a bloodsucker. And
Yeah.
you can quote me. That's a bloodsucker in my review. And, that's a parasite to me.
Yeah.
And when you think about the fact that they benefit from portraying us badly so that we pay to portray ourselves better is a disgusting business model to me.
Mhm.
That's my problem with Yelp.
Yeah. Yeah. What's next on for Taffer's Tavern on the tech front and in general?
Well, tech front, we're always looking at new technologies. As a matter of fact, the Middleby team is on a property today.
Mm-hmm.
And we're doing all sorts of efficiency assessments and production assessments. So we're always adding new technologies every day. My team has been in the test kitchens with Cuisine Solutions for the past 2 weeks, working on new menu items and technologies that we can also bring to Taffer's Tavern.
Mm-hmm.
We now have 22 units under development, which I'm very proud to tell you, Anna.
Awesome.
And so we have units being built in Washington, as you know, Boston. We now have Florida, Savannah, Georgia, Orlando, Tampa areas all in development, and they're moving along nice and quickly. And I'm proud to say Taffer's Tavern is launching our own frozen food line. And we're introducing Taffer's Tavern frozen foods, which is some great specialty items. We're doing it, of course, with Cuisine Solutions. And those will be in Costco's around the country starting, I believe, in mid-November. So we're moving along. We don't stop. The menu has to keep getting better. The technology has to keep getting better. We have to keep getting new franchisees. We're plugging along, and it's a very exciting time for us. And it saddens me sometimes that it is such a good time for us because so many of my friends are struggling now. And so it doesn't feel good to be doing well these days when all of our friends are not.
Well, hopefully things will turn around here in the next few months, labor-wise and otherwise.
If there was anything, Anna, I left you with that I think was important that we communicate to the industry, it's that whole thing of the click-through. And that as an industry, we can't be passive. We need to fight to keep people coming to our restaurants. And we don't want to give away the click, and that'll be so. I just wanted to say I think that's a really important point that I hope the industry understands, and how important retaining our on-premise business is to our industry.
Absolutely.
Thank you.